Following on from the last video, I'd like in this video to bring to your attention what was happening in my life really, and what I believe was being put in place to try and stop me wanting to work with the case. If we go back, in 1991, yes, I set up services for women crack cocaine users, developed the services in this country. I had no problems until 1996, and my phone started to click when I spoke to a certain person on certain topics. I wasn't actually doing anything wrong. In 96 also, the health authorities brought in a policy. They wanted to have drug services do outcomes and assessments of clients to justify how they spend the public money. Although it caused a conflict with working with crack cocaine users because it meant having to ask loads of personal questions on their first assessment, first attendance, which wasn't how I worked with crack cocaine users, and I didn't actually feel it was a way forward. I did express this, but it was new policies, and therefore I set up my own independent service for crack cocaine users in '97. On setting up the service, the clicking continued, but in addition to this, a squeak developed on my home phone each night between about 11 and 1. And also, I would run the service that it was on an evening, clients could just drop in, and on them nights, there was a car always set outside the premises with their lights on, 2 guys sitting in it. Maybe they were just waiting for no one, I don't know. But they were there, and sometimes a guy outside my home in a car, but wearing a leather jacket, like a motorbike jacket, so it's sort of contradictory. He's sitting there, but that's that. After leaving the voluntary sector, I started to experience pain in my hip, which gradually developed and got worse until by about March 1998, I was unable to walk and I was admitted to hospital. I had a prolapsed disc. They wished to do surgery, but I refused the surgery and asked that I try to heal myself. So they plaster casted my body, and I went home to attempt to heal myself. On my return home, the squeak actually stopped, and the squeak wasn't around until in the November of '98, I failed really at healing my spine and agreed to surgery to be enabled to walk. On return from hospital, able to walk, within a day, the squeak returned to my house phone. The following year, I continued back in running my service. I funded myself by providing training to other drugs workers in the field. This enabled me to offer my services for free to the clients. It was in late 99, that the client in question with this paedophile case entered my service. After she entered, then the phone developed a new part which was to hiss when I was speaking to a certain friend on the topic of the case. If we changed the topic and spoke about her children or something different, then instantly the hiss would stop, return straight back to the client, and the hiss would begin again. Therefore, demonstrating to myself that it was specifically this client that was causing my phone to have the hissing noise. Following year 2000, the client started to develop telephone interference, and also my internet connection became extremely bad, but I couldn't actually download anything. It would just disconnect whilst downloading. In early 2001, my cousin came round to put my speakers up on the wall. He had a device that picks up electrical signals in the wall to know not to drill there. He placed the device against my front window, and there seemed to be a line that went across the screen, across the window pane, that that said there was electricity going along that direction. I went off to play with the machine while he continued to put the speakers up into my kitchen area at the back of the house. And again, I found a line that went across the window at the back of the house. I called my cousin. We looked out of the window. He looked too, and he pointed out that, all the satellite dishes at the backs of all the houses are all pointing this way, but the satellite dish in the house straight in front of me was pointing straight at me. Also, this house, no one actually lived in it. They had been building it since I took on the case. They'd been building the loft, and always a light was left on there 24/7. Also in 2001, my sales of training started to drop, which meant I wasn't earning enough money. I went back to the original chair of social services as he ran play schemes in the borough and asked for him to give me some work to earn some more money. Normally, when I contacted this guy, instantly he would accept my phone calls and I would always be able to work for him. But in this time, now I wasn't able to actually make contact with him to ask for work, and I had to tell receptionists and workers, please tell him I need work. I never ever did get any work come my way. Where previously I'd able to take agency work, care work, I was trying with agencies to take some care work now, and I wasn't getting the work. It was late in 2001 that the fact that around the child abuse came to light, and due to, I believe anyway, due to the lack of interest in it by social services and the police, my spine actually collapsed again, not into needing surgery, but I wasn't able to walk, so I signed on for benefits. I still continued on providing the training or offering the training, but by 2002, not only were the sales dropping, but as well in 2002, I started to have people cancel where they previously booked, funded by health authorities. They asked for their checks back and cancelled the attendance to the training. The child had been returned by this time, although the final court hearing was in the spring of 2002. Regarding other clients, as I still continued running my service, regarding the other clients, they started to experience phone interference too. They'd leave messages for me to call them back. I wouldn't get them for a few days, or vice versa. I'd be telling them about their appointment, but they wouldn't receive the message for days. So it was becoming impractical for me to actually run the service, especially when you consider these clients do often have paranoia. It's not good to be in a dilemma where do you tell them that you believe the phone is tapped or not. So I wound down the service in 2002. On return of the child, the mother seemed to be followed wherever she went. If she stood in the queue, say at the post office, then always someone would turn up behind her, sometimes a nursery worker, making some comment. To avoid this one day, I went to collect her benefits from the post office, where I found that I recognised 6 people that had surrounded. It looked like they were waiting for the client, as she would normally go to the toilets often, and I saw them running in and out the toilets as if they were looking for someone. I collected the money and we drove out of the area, out of the London area, into the countryside, where I went into a Tesco's to collect some shopping. Whilst there, over the antennae, they called my name and asked that I came to customer services. This was strange. It was not my area at all. I looked over to customer services and saw an African guy standing there looking around, looking at a customer, looking around. And this is in a very white area, so it's unusual to see black customers there. I didn't respond to the call for my name and left the shop. I also was receiving some, not often, but some funny calls to my home line. A young child phoning, telling me the house is on fire, could I help? I told them, phone the fire brigade. Also, it was interfering with the relationships between me and my family, as they questioned why would my phone be tapped, and therefore when their messages weren't being received by me, they questioned whether I was telling the truth or not in answering their calls, which is quite unusual because it's not like I'm going to be telling them lies. But it did cause conflict and stress between us. My cousin, also once I went to his house for some support, and I sent a text to him, and he had the Orange network, which, unless you registered it, they had a scheme where you couldn't send texts. But after sending him a text to ask where he was, I received a text back from him, although it was a text, but it said something like K118, which meant nothing to me, and later he informed me, no, he didn't send that text. So when we look at this sort of thing going on, you can see why not many cases come to light. I'm aware of other people that have approached me in the past and told me how they were working for social services, social workers, and then when the person disclosed abuse, they were taken off the case. I also know people who work with children that are leaving care, and their phones and computers seem to be interfered with in the same way as mine. I think within the system there may be different workers that are used for different tasks, and when it is cases like this one, I think maybe they keep their own workers on the cases, and when other workers have pointed out in the past that the situation doesn't look right, they've been ridiculed or been got rid of. So I think this hopefully will help people to understand why not many of these cases are coming forward. There's more for me to tell, but for now this is my second part of my video. Thank you. Bye-bye.